Hello everyone. Let us read the poem The Sea and the Skylark. The poem is written by G.M. Hopkins. Skylark is a bird which is known for its song given in hovering flight. While flying in the sky, it generally sings. And the poet Hopkins represents the beginning of modernism, that is, early modern period. G.M. Hopkins was born in Essex, England in 1844 and he died in the year 1889. In order to please his mother, Hopkins acquired the habit of reading Bible. So, this way he had an early exposure to religion. At the age of 24, he joined Jesuit Society and almost 10 years later, he was ordained as a priest. Being a priest, he was apprehensive about his poetic abilities, that it would not win him the approval of his superiors. And it is noted that he used to stop writing poems on many occasions. And there is a surprising fact that his poems were published in 1918, almost 30 years after his death. And this particular poem is one of the lesser known poems of Hopkins, but it reflects several of the qualities of Hopkins' poetry. This is a Petrarchan or Italian sonnet consisting of an octave and a sestet. Hopkins considers the downfall of humanity as self-inflicted or man-made. And this is the central idea or theme of this poem, which expresses Hopkins' views that humanity has touched its low. Let us start the poem. On year and year, two noises too old to end, trench right the tide that ramps against the shore, with a flood or a fall, low lull of or all roar, frequenting there, while moon shall wear and wane. This particular poem was titled Walking by the Sea earlier. So, Hopkins conceived this poem when he was walking on a sea beach, and he writes that he is able to hear two sounds and they are repeatedly heard. The sound which is coming from his right, that is the sea which is towards his right, ramps against the shore. Waves are dashing against the shore. With a flood or a fall, low lull of or all roar. This sea or the waves are taking various forms. Sometimes the waves are making sound of flood, or sometimes they are like waterfall. Sometimes the sound is very low and the sea seems calm, or sometimes it's roaring. frequenting there while moon shall where and when. Frequenting means continuously both these sounds are heard. While moon shall where and when. And Hopkins says the moon, which is visible right now in the sky, should get tired and go. But the movement of the waves will continue endlessly. Left hand, off land, I hear the lark ascend his rash, fresh, rewinded, new-skinned score in crisps of curl of wild winch whirl and pour and pelt music till none is to spill nor spend. So there was the sound of waves on his right and on his left hand. The poet says he hears the lark ascend. So he is hearing the skylark. His rash, fresh, rewinded, new-skinned score. Score is song, and the poet is able to hear the song of the skylark, and the song is coming down in crisps of curl of wild winch whirl, and the skylark is taking a wild flight, and he is in a way dropping the songs like a loosely coiled yarn, and pour and pelt music, and the songs are as if pouring from the sky till none is to spill nor spend, and the songs of the bird are spontaneous, as if the bird will not stop and keep on singing forever. And he hopes skylark is going to sing incessantly. This flow of music will extend happiness to listeners until there is none left to waste. So now we come to the second part of the poem, that is sestet, each stanza having 3 lines. How these two shame this shallow and frail town, how wring right out our sordid turbid time, being pure. We life's pride and cared for crown. The act of both sea and skylark is impressive, whereas the actions of human beings are lowly. The modern world created by human is superficial. Sea and skylark are spiritual, whereas man is termed shallow. And the poet says man's deeds are in fact shameful, and the creation of man, which is town, is considered frail. Frail is weak. How wring right out our sordid turbid time. And the poet says that the human being is actually acted in disgusting manner, though he was the supreme creation of God. When the poet says, "We life's pride," he wants to say that we were the, or human was the supreme creation of God. But he cared for getting more and more from nature without caring for it. And he cared only for crown. Now coming to the last three lines of the poem. Have lost that cheer and charm of earth's past prime, our make and making break are breaking down to man's last dust, brain fast towards man's first slime. The poet is extremely disappointed with human beings and convey that the chief creation of God is undeserving. Due to man's actions, the earth has lost its charm. The earth inhabited by man has marks of destruction everywhere. Break are breaking down, dust, drain. So there is negativity in this stanza. The earth inhabited by man has marks of destruction. In fact, man is destroying nature and he actually is moving towards his own destruction, his downfall. And in a way, humankind is regressing. It is not progressing, it is regressing to dust and slime. So, the situation which was there or which existed before development, the poet wants to convey that man is rushing towards the same situation. The rhyme scheme of the poem is ABBA, ABBA, CDC, DCD. The sonnet is divided into two parts. We saw it, octave and sestet. The octave part convey positivity, whereas the sestet part is negative. The positive part expresses eternity and the negative part seems dark and destructive. The first part or the octave represents nature and second part describes about earth inhabited by man. And we can note that every line of the poem is starting with a capital letter and there is use of archaic words. For example, wand and winch, repetition of speech sounds. There are many examples of repetition: break, breaking, dust, drain, shame, shallow. The poem shows unusual language characteristic of modern poetry. Hopkins' poetry is noted for his use of language, and his use of language shows that he is a modernist poet and he expressed his own views instead of following what was there in the trend. So this way we come to the end of this poem.